Hi there, it's Brian King again. Welcome to Succeed with ADHD Anyway. So who am I? Well, I'm very similar to you. I'm an adult, I'm a parent, I have 3 boys with ADHD and somewhere on the autism spectrum, and I myself am also impacted by Asperger's, ADHD, dyslexia, and a physical condition called Ehlers-Danlos. But you're very fortunate because I don't allow any of that to stop me. My motto is you can have your challenges and succeed anyway. So let's get started. Before we do that though, I want to give a quick shout out to the main sponsor of this podcast. They're my buddies over at Microshare International. What they do is they focus and specialize on cutting edge marketing technologies, especially in this new world of social media. I use them myself and I've experienced great results. You can find out more about them at their website, microshareinternational.com. You can also find a link at my website, Succeed with ADHD Anyway. So you ready? Let's dive in. Let me start with a question. What was your first thought today? When you woke up? Not sure? What was the first thought that you remember having today? And no, this isn't some psychological test, and we're not going to start talking about your childhood or your feelings or anything like that. After all, where you've been isn't nearly as important or as interesting as where you're going. What we are going to discuss is that single moment when you decide the kind of day you're going to have. The classic example is Mondays. How many people do you know who dread Mondays and make it known to the world that they do? Do you happen to be one of them? Well, there's one main reason why Mondays suck, and that's because the first thing Monday morning people wake up and think is, oh, Monday. Oh, I have to go to work today. Man, I wish I could sleep in. And that opening thought sets the tone for your experience of the whole day. What's even worse is how many people seem to conspire together to make sure that Monday does in fact suck. In fact, they use this as a way to connect with each other. Say Bill walks in the office and say, man, Mondays suck, don't they, Tom? Yeah, Bill, they really do. I think they should be outlawed. Now, Tom and Bill feel like they've connected with each other because they have this shared experience called Mondays suck. You see the problem here? If they start the day feeling connected over their decision that Mondays suck, well, their Monday then better suck so they can stay connected. Now, heaven forbid, Bill should suddenly have an experience that makes Monday go great. What would happen if he told Tom how great his Monday went? Tom might be a little jealous and resentful, so Bill either has to tell him or pretend his Monday actually sucks. Now, have you ever did something like that? Felt guilty about feeling good because it might threaten your connection with somebody else? So you fake being upset so that you can stay connected to them. I see this with a lot of people. I see it a lot specifically in parent support groups. Are you a member of those? Have you ever sat in on them? Then you'll probably appreciate this. People in some of these groups come together and end up discussing their burnout, their sense of isolation, all the negatives that go along with raising a child with ADHD or autism spectrum challenges. I've also seen this in adult groups where people get together to discuss their ADHD or autism spectrum challenges. They talk about how people don't get them. They talk about how the boss was a jerk or how their parents are difficult. And I rarely hear any solutions coming up. You see the Tom and Bill scenario. Once you establish connection over something negative, it's really easy to fall into the trap of feeling obligated to maintain that point of view and that experience so that you can belong, so you can feel connected with the other group members. I've seen it in all types of support groups. what you discuss as the purpose of being together becomes the focus of everything you do. If you start negative and stay negative, the whole experience becomes negative. And when you're supposed to go to a group to feel empowered, you end up feeling disempowered and sucked dry. However, what happens if you decide to be positive because you want to change the tone of the group? Well, heaven forbid you should try and improve your circumstances. Because in a lot of these groups, what I've seen happen is they criticize you for being positive. They'll say, well, you're oversimplifying things, or they accuse you of having rose-colored glasses on. They try and bring you back down to where you belong, being negative like everybody else. So if this is what continues to happen for you, best option is to just get out, find more people who want to grow like you do. It just continues to amaze me how people will sacrifice their happiness and growth just so they can feel connected to someone. In fact, you might even see this with your child. They tend to hang around people that are jerks, that treat them like garbage. The reason why is because this group lets them be included. They will sacrifice maybe following the rules. They'll sacrifice happiness just so they can feel connected. It's that essential to their sense of self-worth. Have you ever stayed in a relationship, whether it's a marriage, friendship, job opportunity, where you stayed there even though you felt like garbage because you thought in your mind the alternative was to be alone or be excluded? So you stayed where you felt lousy. A lot of my clients have shared stories of quietly enduring relationships with relatives that beat them down, criticize them, are passive-aggressive, leave them feeling drained because they've been taught that they have to respect their elders. They can't say anything. They just have to take it. Well, no offense to anyone's upbringing, but I really don't see any value in expecting the next generation to indulge the older generation's self-importance. Our primary obligation to those who follow in our footsteps is to lay a path worth following. We don't want our kids to end up saying, man, I hope I don't end up like this guy. That's not much of a legacy. We don't want our lives to be a warning. No, we want it to be an example. I remember a few years ago when my wife and I walked through a Japanese garden. You ever been through those? Those are beautiful. There was a trail that weaved throughout it and around the perimeter. And I noticed a sign along the edge of the trail that said, "Stay on the path." I pointed it out to her and I said, consider the implications of that sign. And that's what I encourage you to do. Consider the implications of the path you're on as a person and as a parent. What your life has been, what it is now, where it's going, will all remain the same as long as you remain in relationships that obligate you to remain stuck in order to connect with the person you're in the relationship with. So I've got a challenge for you. Starting today, I would like you to do this. Start the day by choosing your thought deliberately. Now, this can radically change your thinking if you do it right and do it consistently. It can change your life and the life of those around you. You're going to love how simple this is. It's pretty simple, straightforward. For the next 7 days, I want you to begin each day by sharing your first thought of the day with someone else. Maybe it's your best friend, maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's a coworker, somebody you trust. Now, this is the first thought that you decide to live that day. Then at the end of the day, I want you to share with that person what actions you took to make sure that the day you decided to have is the one you actually had. Now, I'm not talking about the Monday suck thoughts, of course. We don't want you having that kind of day. I'm talking about taking charge of the thinking you do to prepare for your day. People typically are used to being reactive. They'll wake up and say, well, let's see what the day brings. Oh, let's see what happens. That's letting outside forces determine how you're going to feel. We're talking about addressing this as an inside job, which it is. You're going to choose what you're going to see and what you're going to experience. You and I both know that first impressions are often inaccurate. and are worthy of some reflection, right? Especially if those thoughts result in being negative. So I want you to agree with me right now that you're going to be more aware, more responsible, and more deliberate about the thoughts you use to prepare yourself for your day. Thoughts such as, I'm going to be grateful today. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to thank everyone who helps me and let them know that they matter to me. Now that is a first thought of the day and the action you're going to take to have that kind of day. Here's another example. I'll be accepting today. If something doesn't go as planned, I'll remind myself that I'll be okay. It'll all work out. I've done it before and I'll do it again. One more example. I'll acknowledge my self-worth today. If someone treats me well, I'll acknowledge that I'm worth it. I'll thank them. But if someone treats me like garbage, I'll acknowledge that I'm still a worthwhile person. So let's be clear about something here, though. Whatever results you experience when doing this for the first time, you need to report the results honestly. There's no first place here. We aren't keeping score. There are no winners or losers. This is a process. Your objective in taking on this challenge is to grow from the experience by learning from whatever happens, okay? If you really want to use this opportunity to change lives, as well as the lives of those around you, then tell them about what you're doing. Tell them about this challenge that you've taken on and invite them to join you in it. We'll call it the First Thought of the Day Challenge. Simple enough to remember. And imagine what you could create if you exercise your inherent human power to choose the quality of your own thinking. How many lives would you improve as a result? How many of your relationships would improve as a result? You want to change things for the better, right? Well, here's your chance. And it's so simple. It's straightforward. It's concrete. It's doable. Imagine how powerful this tool could be for your child if you decide to be their partner in the First Thought of the Day Challenge. After all, we're all in this together. We can't do it alone. And when we work together, we'll never be alone. So, are you in? Awesome. Then email me. Leave a comment wherever you're hearing this or seeing this. Tell me what your first thought of the day is, and we'll get the ball rolling. Don't keep this to yourself. Share it so more people can benefit. Share this episode. Share this idea with anybody you think could be helped by it. Don't forget to visit my website, which as always is succeedwithadhdanyway.com, and leave a review there. Let me know if this has been useful for you. You can also leave a review on iTunes or YouTube, which is other places I post this, and tell us that it's been helpful. Tell us what other kind of programs you'd like to see from us. And be sure to join us next time for another episode of Succeed with ADHD Anyway. This is Brian King saying, thanks for being you.